So let's talk about a huge question that almost every growing company faces. How do you build your organization so it can actually evolve? So it can adapt to the market instead of just breaking under the pressure of its own success. We're going to explore how to create a system where your strategy, your software, and your teams all click together to create this amazing, continuous flow of value.
You've probably seen this happen. A company starts out small, nimble, super fast, like a little speedboat. But then it grows. And as it gets bigger, things just get complicated. All the structures and processes that made you successful in the first place, suddenly they become the very things that are slowing you down. They create friction, and everything just grinds to a halt.
I mean, really, does it? Have you ever had that feeling where everyone on your team is incredibly busy, running around, meetings all day, but real, meaningful progress feels agonizingly slow? That feeling where you're constantly fighting the system just to get your job done? It's exhausting.
Yeah, these things here on the screen, they're not just isolated problems or one-off bad days. They're symptoms of a much deeper issue. When delivery slows to a crawl, when teams are constantly tripping over each other's work, when your architecture feels like it's set in concrete, these are all massive red flags. It means your organization's strategy, its tech, and its team structure are totally out of sync. It's a classic socio-technical problem.
Okay, so how do we fix this mess? Well, it's not about working harder. It's about seeing things differently. We need a whole new way of looking at our organization, a holistic view that finally connects the dots between the business strategy, the software we're building, and the people who are actually building it.
And that's the core idea behind what we call architecture for flow. It's basically a framework for designing systems that can adapt. The trick is to stop treating strategies, software, and teams like they're in separate silos. Instead, you see them as deeply interconnected parts of one single, living, evolving system.
The absolute key here is alignment. When these three areas, your strategy, your software, and your teams, are all pulling in the same direction and reinforcing each other, something magical happens. The organization can adapt to change not as some big, painful one-off project, but as a normal, continuous, sustainable part of how you work. That synergy is the secret sauce for real agility at scale.
So, how do we actually put this into practice? Well, the Architecture for Flow framework gives us a toolkit. Think of it as having 3 different lenses, and each one gives us a powerful, unique perspective to help shape our organization.
Our first lens is Wardley mapping. This is our strategic map. It's like Google Maps for your business. It lets you visualize the entire landscape, from what your users need all the way down to the tiny components that make it happen. This map is crucial because it tells you where to play and how to win, what to build yourself, what to buy, and where to place your strategic bets.
Okay, so once you have your map, you need a blueprint, and that's our second lens, domain-driven design, or DDD. This is our architectural plan. DDD gives us the tools to break down a really complex business into smaller, well-defined, manageable parts. We call these bounded contexts. It's how we take that strategic landscape from our Wardley map and turn it into a software design that actually makes sense and reflects how the business works.
This whole philosophy is captured perfectly in this quote from Alberto Brandolini. He's the inventor of a really powerful DDD practice called event storming. And he said, software development is a learning process. Working code is a side effect. I love that. It completely reframes the goal, right? We're not just factory workers on an assembly line churning out code. We are explorers. And the code we write, that's just the artifact, the proof of the deep collaborative learning we did about the business.
All right, our third and final lens is team topologies. We've got our map, we've got our blueprint, now we need to organize the crew. This framework is all about designing teams and, just as critically, defining how those teams interact with each other. The whole point is to align your team structure with your software architecture, which reduces the cognitive load on everybody and allows teams to deliver value quickly and without burning out.
Now, theory is great and all, but how does this stuff actually play out in the messy real world? Well, let's take a look at a fantastic case study from a company called Pirate Ship. They're in the shipping software business, and they use this exact approach to navigate a period of absolutely explosive growth.
Pirate Ship was drowning. Seriously, they were facing all the classic symptoms we talked about. After a huge growth spurt, their teams were completely overloaded. The business domains they worked in were just too big for any one team to wrap their heads around. Nobody was quite sure who owned what, especially shared components. And their old PHP monolith? It was a massive bottleneck that didn't reflect their business at all.
So they started a journey. First, they dove deep into discovery and design.
They ran workshops using all three lenses, Wardley mapping, DDD, team topologies, to build a shared map of where they were and where they needed to go. Then came the really cool part, what they called the art of cell division. Instead of management dictating the new structure, they let the teams themselves self-select into smaller, more focused units. And finally, they realized they needed a dedicated platform team to handle all those shared components, freeing up the other teams to focus on their customers. And the results? They were so clear and so direct that crushing team overload, it was drastically reduced. Those impossibly large domains, they were successfully broken down into smaller, focused areas. And that led to way clearer ownership and responsibilities. They went straight for the root of their pain and fixed it.
The pirate ship story is so powerful because it reveals this fundamental shift in thinking. The goal isn't just a one-time, painful reorganization. It's about building the ability to change right into the normal process of how you work.
So what were the big lessons they learned? First, that a deep, shared understanding of your business domain is absolutely non-negotiable. Second, you have to have continuous support from leadership to create the safety and space for this kind of change. Third, involving the teams directly in their own redesign, it pays off big time. You get better solutions and way more buy-in. And finally, change actually gets easier the more you do it. The organization literally learns how to adapt.
This quote from Peter Senge just nails the spirit of what made pirate ships so successful. By making it a participatory process where teams co-designed their own future, they weren't forcing change onto people. They were empowering their teams to drive the change themselves, and that makes all the difference.
So at the end of the day, Architecture for Flow isn't a project with a start and an end date. The real prize is to build the capability for continuous evolution right into the DNA of your organization. It's about creating a system that learns, adapts, and actually thrives in a world that is always changing.
And that leaves us with one last question, a question for you. Take a hard look at your own organization, your teams, your systems. Are they built just to withstand change, or are they truly designed to evolve with it?